The trolley problem, a philosophical dilemma that has captivated thinkers and moralists for decades, presents a unique intersection of ethics, psychology, and responsibility. It's one of the most iconic moral puzzles, and it's not just a theoretical exercise. It challenges our understanding of right and wrong, pushing us to confront difficult decisions that bear moral weight. In this article, we'll explore the origins of the trolley problem, its moral implications, variations, and why it continues to resonate in our rapidly evolving world of artificial intelligence, self-driving cars, and ethical quandaries. Introduction to the trolley problem. The trolley problem, in its classic form, was introduced by philosopher Philippa Foot in 1967 and later expanded upon by Judith Jarvis Thomson. Here's how it goes. Imagine a trolley hurtling down a track. Ahead, 5 people are tied to the rails and unable to move. You stand next to a lever. If you pull the lever, the trolley will switch to another track, sparing the 5 people but killing one person tied to the alternate track. You have 2 choices. 1. Do nothing, allowing the trolley to continue on its path, killing 5 people. 2. Pull the lever, diverting the trolley to the alternate track, killing 1 person but saving 5. This dilemma forces us to confront complex moral questions. Should we intervene? Is it right to sacrifice one life to save many? And ultimately, who bears the moral responsibility for such a decision? Utilitarianism versus deontological ethics. At the heart of the trolley problem is a fundamental conflict between 2 ethical frameworks, utilitarianism and deontological ethics. Utilitarianism is a consequentialist theory, which means it evaluates actions based on their outcomes. According to utilitarian thinking, the morally correct action is the one that maximizes overall happiness or minimizes harm. In the case of the trolley problem, a utilitarian would argue that pulling the lever is the right choice because it minimizes the loss of life. Deontological ethics is a duty-based theory, which argues that some actions are inherently right or wrong, regardless of their consequences. Deontologists would suggest that it's wrong to actively intervene by pulling the lever, as doing so involves a direct action to take a life, violating the principle that we should not use individuals merely as a means to an end. This clash between utilitarianism and deontological ethics lies at the core of the trolley problem and highlights the complexity of moral responsibility. For utilitarians, the outcome justifies the action, whereas deontologists focus on the action itself and the importance of respecting individuals' rights. Expanding the trolley problem. Variants and complications. Over time, philosophers and ethicists have created many variations of the trolley problem to explore different facets of morality and responsibility. The Fat Man scenario. Imagine instead of a lever, you are on a footbridge with a large man. If you push him onto the track, his body will stop the trolley, saving the 5 but killing him. This scenario makes many people uncomfortable because, unlike pulling a lever, it involves direct physical harm to another person, raising questions about personal agency and proximity. The surgeon's dilemma. In this variation, a surgeon has 5 patients who each need a different organ to survive. A healthy individual walks into the hospital, and the surgeon could kill this person to harvest their organs, saving the 5 patients. This version challenges the idea of using one person's body as a means to save others, spotlighting the moral repulsion people often feel towards such a violation of individual rights. Loop variant. In another twist, the trolley will circle back after killing 1 person and still hit the 5 unless you pull the lever to a track that includes a person who can stop it. This challenges the idea of causal responsibility, whether indirectly contributing to harm is morally equivalent to directly causing it. Why are we so fascinated by the trolley problem? The trolley problem remains popular because it's a perfect storm of moral, psychological, and practical questions. Unlike everyday ethical dilemmas, it creates a simplified environment where choices are reduced to stark binaries. Yet, the complexity of its moral implications mirrors real-life situations, especially in contexts like war, medical ethics, and artificial intelligence. Human psychology and moral intuition. Research shows that people's responses to the trolley problem can vary based on how the scenario is framed. For example, many people would pull the lever but are reluctant to push the fat man. This discrepancy reveals our psychological preference for impersonal harm, pulling a lever, over personal harm, pushing someone. It also underscores the conflict between our logical reasoning and emotional responses in moral decision-making. The trolley problem and moral responsibility. Who is responsible for the outcome in the trolley problem? If you choose not to intervene, are you morally culpable for the deaths of the 5? If you intervene, are you responsible for the death of the 1? The question of moral responsibility is central to the dilemma. Some argue that by doing nothing, you avoid direct responsibility, while others suggest that inaction is itself a choice, making you partially responsible for the outcome. The impact of cultural and personal beliefs. Studies suggest that cultural background can affect one's approach to the trolley problem. For example, individuals from collectivist cultures, who prioritize the welfare of the group, may be more inclined to pull the lever than those from individualistic cultures. Additionally, personal beliefs about autonomy, justice, and human rights often shape how people view these scenarios. Modern relevance. The trolley problem in technology and artificial intelligence. As we advance toward an era where machines make decisions that could impact human lives, the trolley problem has taken on new significance. For instance, consider self-driving cars. Suppose an autonomous vehicle detects an impending crash with several pedestrians but can swerve to a side road, risking the life of a single pedestrian. How should it decide? Should it be programmed to prioritize the lives of many over the few? Or should it follow a principle that avoids direct harm? Programming ethical algorithms. Engineers and ethicists are grappling with how to code moral decision-making into machines. One challenge is that moral intuitions about scenarios like the trolley problem aren't universally shared or easily translated into code. How do you program a machine to weigh the value of different lives? Is it ethical to make that decision for someone else? Accountability and responsibility. If a self-driving car chooses to sacrifice one person to save 5, who is responsible? Is it the programmer, the manufacturer, or the artificial intelligence itself? The trolley problem underscores the difficulty in assigning responsibility in scenarios where the decision-making process is opaque or shared across multiple stakeholders. The ethical dilemma of military drones. Another application is in autonomous military drones. Should a drone be able to decide to kill a few to save many? In warfare, this raises questions about proportionality, the value of combatant versus civilian lives, and the accountability of those who design and deploy these machines. Criticisms and limitations of the trolley problem. Despite its widespread appeal, the trolley problem has faced criticism. Some argue that it oversimplifies moral decision-making by presenting extreme, unrealistic scenarios that lack nuance. Critics also contend that it ignores broader considerations, like social context or the potential for nonviolent solutions. Reduction of moral complexity. In real life, ethical decisions rarely come down to choosing between two clear-cut options. People often have more choices, allowing for solutions that don't involve taking a life. Critics argue that focusing on binary choices overlooks the complexity of real moral issues. Neglect of broader contexts. The trolley problem isolates individuals from social, cultural, and relational contexts, reducing people to numbers. In reality, decisions are affected by relationships, social pressures, and cultural values, which influence how we weigh the importance of each life. Lack of emotional resonance. Some scholars suggest that the abstract nature of the trolley problem doesn't fully capture the emotional complexity of real-life moral dilemmas. In real situations, we may know or empathize with the people affected, complicating our decision-making process. Lessons from the trolley problem. While the trolley problem might seem like an academic exercise, it can offer valuable insights for our daily lives and for societal progress. Here are a few takeaways. Awareness of moral biases. By studying responses to the trolley problem, we can better understand our own biases in moral decision-making. This self-awareness can help us make more thoughtful choices in complex situations. Application to policy and law. The trolley problem illustrates the challenges policymakers and lawmakers face when making decisions that affect public welfare. For instance, health policies, environmental regulations, and transportation policies often involve difficult trade-offs, where the lives and well-being of some individuals are weighed against those of others. Empathy and ethical reflection. Ultimately, the trolley problem encourages us to reflect on the value of human life, the importance of empathy, and the limits of our ethical frameworks. It serves as a reminder that moral choices are often difficult, and that easy answers are rare in complex moral situations.